Hello there, girls and boys, and welcome back to the After Hour Shows, the place where we talk about music that doesn't suck while enjoying ourselves a nice drink. Today's mix is a traditional, this is a very classic drink. This is known as a Moscow Mule, and this is based on vodka, 2 ounces of vodka, half an ounce of lemon juice, and ginger beer. So what do you think about it, Tiago? Because I actually ruined the whole dynamic of the introduction.
You did indeed, but I'll forgive you for that. Hello girls and boys, how's it going? I'm glad you're back. It's great to have you here as well. And if you already skipped all of the introductions,
Yes.
Cheers to it.
Sante.
Oh, and happy Thanksgiving to those in parts of the
Oh, yeah.
world to actually
Are having a great and fun moment with their family.
So,
Cheers to you.
so
It's always a great drink.
always delivers.
It's a
Yeah.
problem because it's way too freaking good, right?
It doesn't fail, yeah.
It's
It's
one
a
of the,
very
like,
simple drink.
It's very simple. It's very, very simple. It's so effective and good.
Yeah.
Now, what are we gonna be discussing?
So today the plan is to talk about the band that you probably have heard of.
One of those little known bands, right?
One of those little, yeah, but I think some of you might have heard of them. They're called Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, of course, totally nobody has heard of them, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you think about Led Zeppelin?
Well, they are
The greatest band ever?
They are the quintessential classic rock band,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
I wouldn't contest the title actually,
No, me neither. I think they earn it. They earn it. But why would you say such a thing?
because I think they were good enough and big enough at the right time to be considered the ultimate classic rock band.
But would you say so because we look at them now from this perspective in the future? Because back then, when they were a thing, their popularity went to the highest heavens because of their loudness, their badass attitude. I gotta say that their live shows are the very little footage that we got out of them. It's excellent, and it seems that they were very good at being when it came to delivering great shows. Also, the rock and roll element to their music, because they were heavy.
Yeah.
They some of their songs could be considered proto metal. Some of them, hashtag not all.
Yeah.
For example, Kashmir, it's heavy as balls,
Yeah.
and it's before metal was a thing. So the same what happens with Led Zeppelin, with Deep Purple. Some songs are kind of like a good referencing point for the development of metal music later on.
Actually, we'll already hold on to a tangent here. I
Yeah.
know it's kind of early, but regardless,
Go.
That's what we're here for. You, from a production perspective, from a producer and mix engineer perspective, do you think that what hinders Led Zeppelin music, some of it, let's say Kashmir is a good example,
Yes.
to be actually considered proto metal is just from a production or mixing side?
No.
No.
No, I think it's a composition because metal wasn't a thing yet. Why? Some may argue it was because the amplifiers weren't as capable of producing that huge amount of distortion, making it sound more metal. But I digress, because Black Sabbath is very metal. I could consider them to be one of the first, if not the first, actual full-on metal band ever. Led Zeppelin is closer to rock music, way closer than they are to metal, but the compositions are still, some of them, for example Kashmir, you can see elements that will later inspire metal bands. Because the drumming is extremely loud, super punchy.
I feel sorry for those drums.
Man,
He was hitting them hard.
the microphones involved, the preamp, everything, man, he bashed the kit.
No, and he already did by nature, but on that song in particular, I think it was even hard
It's one of the loudest.
for his standards.
Yeah.
And of course, we're talking about John Bonham,
Bonzo.
Bonzo, also aka Bonzo,
Yes.
one of the most recognized names in drumming.
Could you say overrated?
Actually, I would.
Why? Why?
And look, I mean the whole thing with being overrated, with no disrespect for the man, the artist, and the instrumentalist. He was great. He was a legend, and he did, huh?
The drunk.
Yes, a legendary drunk as well. But he deserves the status of legend. He's amongst the rock legends.
Yeah, he is. He's part of the pantheon of rock gods.
But the thing is, what I mean by overrated, and you know that being overrated means that it's rated above what he is.
Yes.
So it's a
Doesn't
comparison.
mean that it's a bad drummer by any means.
Yeah, because now we're talking about public perception more than we're talking about his qualities
Objective.
as a drummer.
Agreed.
Because he's a fantastic drummer.
Yeah,
He
he is.
is one of the most inspirational drummers ever, and I will say that that's also justified.
And I also think that part of what makes some of their songs to sound metal is the drumming.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Because, the guitar is very bluesy.
Mhm.
The singing is also, well, it's the singing, it's Led Zeppelin. No, Robert Plant's a good singer. The thing is that it's very unique. And John Paul Jones' basses are a little bit more on the technical side. Because he's the same what happens with the Who. He's the one who keeps the band together when they were just going nuts on stage. Yeah, great bass players both.
Yeah.
I always forget the name of the bass player for the Who. Please remind me. Great.
Entwine? No.
Entwine?
No. Regardless,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
remember
It might
later.
come back to you, but yeah.
So now Bonzo,
Bonzo, yes.
fantastic drummer. The
Yes.
thing is, people make such a big fuss out of him, as if there was no other drummer in history that could compare, and that's where I'm gonna draw a line, because he is excellent.
Yes.
He is legendary. He is extremely influential.
He deserves his place.
But there are many other drummers throughout history that are the same level or above.
And even if you try to make the claim that it's because of him being one of the first or one of the more unique drummers back in that era, you got Kid Moon.
Yes, you just mentioned who. Yes.
Yeah, who is as loud, if not louder, as wild, if not wilder,
He's wilder.
as a person, yes.
And as a drummer as well.
I would
Yeah.
say that both are at least as loud as each other. So, and technically speaking, both are extremely proficient.
But I think.
And also both died for sins.
Yeah.
So,
But I think Keith Moon was actually the more creative drummer out of the truth. Out of the truth, he was more adventurous. Let's call it adventurous.
that might be where the line is drawn. Because Kid Moon's drumming tend to be a little bit more creative, but that creativity sometimes could get in the way. Get me? And Bonzo's performances were always in the service to the song. His approach to drumming is more conservative.
Yes.
Not necessarily because he was less of a drummer. I think it's because he understood his role within the band. Because what shines in Led Zeppelin from an instrumental perspective is the guitar. It's always been guitar. Jimmy Page is actually the face of the band outside of even I think he's even more popular than Robert Plant.
He is.
So and for all these reasons, because outside of being biased, being a guitar player myself, I have a huge appreciation for both. But I think Bonzo has always been overshadowed, but intelligently, correctly.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Because it's not saying that one is better than the other. Something happened to your camera. Where you went full on coronavirus. But yeah, the thing is that when you compare someone like Bonzo to Kid Moon tends to be more risky, and sometimes that risky factor, not necessarily because I have a hard time thinking of a bad The Who song, if that's even possible. But sometimes the drums could be a little bit distracting. Not in a bad way.
Yeah.
But Led Zeppelin became way more popular than The Who, I think, because The Who is also gigantic. And Team The Who, being frank, I prefer The Who over Led Zeppelin, in my humble opinion. No, man, that's not even a trigger, that's obvious. No, no. The thing is that I understand why people would prefer Led Zeppelin as well. The thing is that since The Who was a little bit more, I think that both are so weird. Let me explain. I am a prog rocker. I love progressive rock music. I love music that is complex in nature and that has plenty of different elements and expansive, okay, sounding compositions. I was about to say that the Who has much more audacity in their compositions, but no, Led Zeppelin as well.
Yeah.
And you can make the argument that Led Zeppelin could be even more prog due to them having longer songs and more on the magnus opus style of track than the Who. But you can make the claim that also The Who has badass conceptual albums, even rock opera.
Yeah.
So that's where
I
Who
do
is
thi-
proggier.
I do think that the Who is kind of crazier.
But can we agree that they're proggier than Pink Floyd?
Either one of them by a lot.
Yeah, because Stairway to Heaven, I'm big Pink Floyd fan, but come on. For real, Stairway to Heaven has way more changes on its composition than the entire career of Pink Floyd. For being, come on, tell me if it's not real. Because how many movements do you think Stairway to Heaven has? Movements is musical
least,
sections on which you see a clear pattern going.
At least 4 super well defined.
Yeah.
But with quite a lot of motion contained
Yes.
in them as well.
How many of those happen in 7 minutes long? Dogs by Pink Floyd. 20.
It's a great song.
It's the best. But it has like 2 movements.
Who needs more?
I'm just saying, the thing is that we like to make fun of Pink Floyd because we happen to be huge Pink Floyd fanboys. But that doesn't stop us from being frank. But coming back to Led Zeppelin and the Who,
No,
which one do you think is much more progressive in that regard? Because both have. The thing is that it's kind of hard, right? Because you can also attack the Who if you go back to the early days on which they were playing something more similar to the Rolling Stones. A little bit more, you get me, a little bit more innocent sounding, or less expansive, a little more bird to the bones, which is still good.
Yeah.
But it's more fun than.
It was more rock and roll
It
than.
was more rock and roll than actually. Oh wow, this is good music.
And they're great at it as well.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think they actually shine doing music that is a little bit crazier.
They are better than.
Yeah.
100%.
My personal take on it, I do think that The Who is a little bit proggier than Led Zeppelin. I would say. Not by much, but I do think that the scope of their compositions is a little bit more daring. I think you mentioned the form factor, the length of the songs.
Yes.
And, Led Zeppelin has longer songs, which is a factor.
It is, and it's a big one because you got songs like obviously "Stairway to Heaven," but you got the Rain song. I think one of their best songs, "Freaking No Quarter." What was the name of the one? Oh no, that's you know.
No.
The one that kind of sounds like reggae, but then it morphs into something like a samba. Oh come on, man!
You can lost.
I don't remember the name.
Well, there's no. If you know,
It's a very famous song by them, but I don't know why for the life of me I can't remember the name. Also, you got the song remain the same. Achilles Last Stand. Damn, it's such a great band.
It is a great band.
Every song, like, I want to listen to them now. It's so good, right?
Yep. Let's actually we have come here. Let's see.
Yep. I heard Joss. Hey, good to have you here, man. He says that I heard from the drummers that Achilles heel is one of the hardest to play for drummers. What do you think?
Again, it goes back to the point that I was making about him being overrated. Again, not attack to the guy. I think it's the way that people look at him. And I think this claim of being one of the hardest tracks to play on the drums is also a little bit of an evidence of that. Because if you get basically anything by Dream Theater, anything by...
Die Maker. Yeah, that Maker.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
But look, anything by... Well, Dream Theater, let's say, just to pick one.
Okay.
You cannot compare anything that he played on a complexity level. I'm not talking quality.
Which one is better?
music.
No, of course not.
Yeah, because you can have tremendous musical performance without any form of complexity.
Yeah, because you can make the same argument using Neil Peart.
Yes.
Another excellent drummer, but we're not comparing quality.
Yeah,
we're
so-
comparing just technical.
So to say that this is one of the most difficult parts for drummers, I think that's quite off the mark, honestly, from a personal
But
perspective.
now I think now from a rusty and crusty music producer perspective, I think the difficulty, particularly when it comes to the drumming for Led Zeppelin, is the intensity, the performance aspect.
Yeah, delivering.
Yeah, and I think
Agreed.
that could be the reason why that song is punchy, man. The only good rendition that I have ever seen live of that song was with Mike Mangini playing. Yeah, but but it was him on drums. So it's obvious, but it's not necessarily. But he did it because he's a very gifted drummer, but also I think his level of proficiency let him work more on the hardest part, which is the projection.
Yeah.
Because even he went bananas, man.
Yeah.
He was playing a theater, and he went that loud that even like and that's when I got it. The difficult part, at least when it comes to drumming for Led Zeppelin music, is the massive wall of sound that the drums are meant to be.
Yeah, actually, there's an important distinction to be made because when I'm talking about, for instance, a drum part being hard, I'm not talking necessarily from getting that right sound. I'm talking to nailing the part. I'm looking only from that angle. I will say that there's a lot of stuff that is way harder.
Yes.
But the sound of Bonzo is something that was only his.
Yeah, that's a
And
thing.
nobody else will ever be able to attain that particular sound, and that's why he's legendary.
And another thing that has to be mentioned, the sound that you hear on the albums is not only the result of Bonzo's performances, also the recording engineer called Glyn Jones, he developed even a technique that is still used today, and it's known as Glyn Jones array, and it has that sound. Because what makes the sound, first, imagine being Glyn Jones and having to record such a loud drummer in a day on which music shouldn't be played that loudly, for real. It sounds dumb now, but back in the day, they were revolutionary because nobody played as loud as they did. That's actually a reason why they became so prominent. He intelligently came up with a way for the drums to be recorded in a way that captures the essence, and it involves plenty of room microphones, a lot of compression to bring up the trashiness, and blending them together. It's a very clever way to do. I can spend later on. We will have the ways to have live streams on which we're actually miking up stuff. For the time being, sit on that one. But bear in mind that I already have some plans for some live microphone techniques while live streaming, but that will happen later on. But yeah, it's such a badass sound, and it's almost a trademark, don't you think?
Yeah.
Because you can even hear, whenever you hear a record by another band, on which you hear that style of microphone or microphone technique on the drums,
It takes you back.
yeah, you immediately think, oh, this is inspired by Bonzo. 100%, isn't it?
Yeah. The thing is that inspired by, it's really hard to see someone actually pulling it off the way that he did.
Yeah.
Because it's not only the loudness, it's the projection. He knew how to get sound out of those drums.
Yeah, can you elaborate more on that? Because we had that discussion months ago when we were discussing microphones and stuff. But be a little bit more from the drummer's perspective.
Yeah, the thing is, you'll be able to do the producer's take.
Yes.
The thing is that the final sound that we get as listeners is a mix of many factors.
Yes.
The musician being one of them.
Yeah.
The equipment itself, let's say the instrument is one of them, is probably... We'll address it no more.
Yeah, no, continue.
But is one of the elements. I'd say the drummer is probably the biggest part, the musician, the drummer in question. But I'd say, 60 to 70% of the sound. And if you get that part without getting the rest, you can get something that would be incredible, become underwhelming because the rest of the equation didn't live up to that standard.
Exactly.
I think when it comes to Led Zeppelin, what made it, now Bonzo specifically, what made that sound so incredible and influential throughout the ages is because he delivered on every front. He delivered from the drummer's perspective. The drummer was incredible, was getting fantastic sound out of his playing.
Yeah.
But also the technique into getting that sound and translating it correctly was also there.
Important, very important. And look, it's related to what you're saying because Joss is sharing a little bit of trivia with us. He says that when the Leaves breaks, Jimmy Page said that the drums were recorded in a large empty stairwell. Engineer Andy Jones placed a pair of Bayer Dynamic M160 ribbon microphones at the top of the stairwell. Yeah, and actually it makes sense. That's actually real. And it's not only been done on drums. One of the techniques that I like to use is you can reamp stuff. Reamping means you have a pre-recorded signal, and then you output it once again and re-record it again using microphones. Okay, allowing you to reprocess the signal once again through different stuff, different pieces of gear, right? So one technique, it's similar to that. Actually, I actually tried to experiment first. Years and years ago, based on this very principle. Actually, I thank you for reminding me that because I did it. The thing is that here, this room is at the very top of this building, and there is a staircase that goes as high as three stories high. So one day, I had this particular drum sound that I wasn't happy with. So what I did, I got a pair of speakers, soft power speakers. Put them at the very bottom of the building, and I had the microphones all the way to as high as here, as high as this floor is, and I blasted the music, the performance of the drummer, and I re-recorded reverberation and all of the intricacies, trying to get a result similar to that one. It worked, but it's not this. And what the microphone choice is very important. Ribbon microphones, girls and boys, I'm gonna go a little bit nerdy on this, but it makes me recording engineer hat on. Ribbon microphones tend to be quite dark sounding. Dark means that they have a roll off on the high frequency, and they tend to have a much more warmer tone due to that. So they tend to have a lot of character, and when you usually use them when recording drums for indirect signals, such as room, such as overheads, yeah, that's it. Because if you use it quite close to something that is very loud, or in front of the kick drum, for example, that pushes plenty of air, you can actually damage the ribbon. And believe it or not, they actually use a ribbon inside of the microphone. They're extremely delicate. If you have phantom power on, you're gonna kill them. The vast majority of those microphones cannot handle the truth, which is the 48 plus volts. So those microphones are great. Don't you love when I record you with the ribbon?
Yes, and they have a liveliness to them. They sound more exciting.
Yeah, they are exciting and trashy, but trashy in the good sense, because look, the thing is that once again, nerdy stuff. The thing is that ribbon microphones as well, they are very low in output, so you tend to push them harder on the preamp, thus making them more. You create more harmonic content, so it's fun. It has a fun sound to them, and very characteristic and colorful. One of the microphones that I will be expanding quite soon here at the studio is going to be a pair of Cole. We have been having that debate for like 6 months now. But damn, the thing is that Cole's microphones, I don't remember exactly the name is for something, but I consider them to be my favorite overhead microphones ever, and because they have plenty of these colorful characteristics that are part of the sound of Bonzo. And look, for example, I wouldn't use a sound like Bonzo for Bardon.
No, it's not fitting.
No, it wouldn't make sense. First, because I think it's such a unique sound that it's kind of. The music that we play is not close to what Led Zeppelin does. It's much more modern, but also a little bit more on the 80s style of things. So we need to lean towards an aesthetic closer to that. And also because we're not that fast. No, we can be faster, but you get me. It's like this thing that's rock and roll, and that's something that has to be promoted and produced.
Look, even that you mentioned, I think we can kind of derail a little bit into sound and aesthetics of an era, because Led Zeppelin defined the aesthetics of a whole era of rock and roll. But that, and I'll say that this with a heavy heart, is now treated as oldies. Because the sound of Led Zeppelin, and again, I'm not talking from my own perspective, and I'm not it is great, and I love that sound.
Yes.
But it is nowadays considered an old-fashioned sound.
It is. Where are you gonna?
So look, now you made the comment about our sound being a little bit more modern. Now no rock band sounds like Led Zeppelin.
No.
Not only because they are not as good.
They gotta be ironically. Right?
Yeah, it wouldn't really be fitting to see anything modern on the radio sounding like that.
I get you.
But it's such a great sound. Why did we just transform it into something that is old-fashioned when it's so good?
I think it's because it's loudness. It's a loudness thing. Because when you think in terms of mixing, and I strongly recommend you to watch some of the music analysis that I have done here in the channel, on which I pick a famous track and we discuss it using even an analyzer on the screen. The thing is that you have edited a good chunk of those videos. You are starting to see patterns in the way that the frequency response of much more modern music tends to be presented when compared to older music, such as Led Zeppelin. What do they have in common? Modern music has way more bass, and they tend to be louder. The dynamic range is slightly smaller than when it's properly mixed. It's still there, but it's not as pronounced as Stairway to Heaven. And if you don't trust me, if you happen to have the chance to listen to one of the original releases of Stairway to Heaven, not the remasters, you'll see that it's basically you have it doing. You hear nothing. You gotta go there, crank it up, and when the freaking bam, it
hits you with a vengeance.
Down, yeah, it hits you bad, man. That is the point. It was by design recorded and produced such quietly because it's dynamics, man.
So and it's meant to hit you hard later.
It's the idea. And modern music is not as concerned with those dynamics. It's bad. I always have looked at it as a huge problem. That's one of the reasons why modern music is so lame sounding and starting to sound very cookie cutter. And the reason behind it is because it sells more albums. It's louder equals more exciting in our stupid human brains, and more exciting means we like to get it sooner. It's just it's a trick.
Yeah.
It's a trick. Is it a bad trick? No, it's a good one because dynamic range allows for the moment on which it hits you hard. It hits you hard but correctly, and you enjoy the music more because it has a much more pronounced emotional impact on you. Because the idea is for that section to be more exciting, right?
Yeah.
Louder equals excitement. Oh, perfectly.
Yeah.
But when everything is exciting, nothing is exciting because you have no points of comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greta Van Fleet. Yeah, comes kind of comes close. Yeah, but I think, in my humble opinion, have no gripes with those guys, Greta Van Fleet. But I felt that why would I listen to them when I can listen to Led Zeppelin? If that makes sense to you.
No, I get you.
With all due respect,
Yeah.
because those guys are not bad by any means. I simply feel that they are so freaking close that it almost feels like it's a product.
Yeah, the thing is that now that it becomes this discussion about all music or anything, nothing is new. Everything is inspired by.
Yeah, they're remixed.
And it's true.
Yeah.
Everything is inspired by. And as an artist, you're always gonna draw inspiration from the ones that came previously to you.
And you should.
And you should. The thing is, I think there's a line to be drawn. Or not a line to be drawn, but there is a little bit of a threshold on which you're not only being influenced by, but you're trying to become.
Oh,
thing.
I got you.
And the feel that I get out of Greta Van Fleet is that they are trying to be modern Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Rather than doing their own thing,
Sounding
inspired
like
by Led Zeppelin.
Agreed.
And I do have a bit of a gripe with that.
Yeah. I see your point.
I don't think they're bad musicians by any means.
No,
they're a
you're
good
right.
band, but honestly, I think they're trying too much to be something that they are not.
And when they became a thing, it was incredibly refreshing to see a band that was actually sounding like a band from the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, finally. The thing is that I listened to their first album and like, why wouldn't I be listening to Led Zeppelin instead?
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue. Because they sound, to me, and in my humble opinion, of course, way too similar. And the thing is that Led Zeppelin is unbeatable in that regard.
Yeah.
And look, I consider Led Zeppelin to be a little bit overrated due to the fan base, not because of them. Because in all honesty, the band is so monumental because they are that good. And there was no other band back then, maybe The Who,
Well,
with the exception being The Who.
Well, we have Cream, we have
No,
The
man,
Who.
but no. The thing is that no, I'm not discussing quality. I'm thinking in terms of the whole package, because I don't think that there was a better live performer than them in that area of high energy, high octane rock and roll music.
Great.
Because you got Pink Floyd at their height of their career, but it was more light shows and stuff, right? It was a different take on rock music, performance-wise.
And on the spectacle.
The spectacle was very different, so it's not necessarily the same. But Led Zeppelin, man, I think the closest and the only one that not surpassed them, but is as good as them was Van Halen a decade later. In the delivery of energy and the impact, culturally speaking, that they got.
And clearly inspired by as well.
Clearly, it's obvious that they were huge fans. They are huge fans of Led Zeppelin.
Why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't you? The thing is that this is look, once again, even though I think they are a little bit overrated, it's not because they are bad. The problem is that it's
the wrong time to put a like.
Yeah,
when
but
you're making the most controversial
no,
statement.
look. I'm about to say something very, very positive about them. Even though I consider them to be slightly overrated, which rock and roll band after Led Zeppelin do you think hasn't been influenced by them? No, that's
It's
the thing.
impossible.
That's
It's
the thing.
impossible.
And when you consider that as part of the equation, you realize like, no man, they are that freaking good.
Yeah, it's like saying that any modern rock act has nothing drawn from the Beatles, for instance.
Yeah.
It's simply impossible. It can't happen.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think,
Justice is saying right, but bands copying Led Zeppelin sells. Everybody is looking for the next. Yeah, man. Look, it's basically what we're right now saying. The next Led Zeppelin, and marketeers take advantage of it. 100%, man. 100%. And again, I don't think that Greta Van Fleet is a bad band. This is much more. This is the rock and roller talking, right? And a music fan. I would rather have something inspired by and get more new music than feeling like I'm being sold a product based on member berries. Get me?
As we get enough of that as it is.
Yeah, man. Because how many similar acts that sounding like Pink Floyd, for example, have we ever got? Not that many, actually. But because I think Pink Floyd is so unique, but whatever. But you got so many equivalents to Bob Marley. Plenty of equivalents to Cream. Plenty of equivalents to Queen. You got freaking Muse. It's a modern take on the Queen formula, if you wish. I don't like them, but near Queen. But no, but I have huge respect for Queen, and they have some of my favorite songs ever. But I digress. The point is that there are certain bands that are so almost not iconic, because I don't like using that word because it's been tarnished. It's been overused. But archetypical bands. One of them is Led Zeppelin. Another band like that would be U2. I don't like U2, but respect. Another band is AC/DC. You know what I mean, right? It's like those bands have to be part of any musician, or at least any rock musician repertoire.
Look, all the bands that you mentioned, they have something in common.
Yes.
Which is, they of course they deliver on the music side of things, but there's also a personality aspect to the band that is very present. They have a soul, they have a personality.
Yes, they do.
And that makes it so that anybody trying to copy that will always fall flat, because you cannot copy a personality.
No.
So a band such as Led Zeppelin, they had the music, but a lot of the music was the personality. A lot of them on stage was their personality. You can't try to replicate that.
No, it's very difficult, man. But look, I can see, for example, Crobot. Crobot is a band that I like a lot. They play stoner rock, but they have a very similar sound to Led Zeppelin, particularly drums. When it comes to the recording, the style of the mixing and the whole production, totally recommend it. It's a good band. It's like yeah. The thing is that it's one of those bands that it's only yeah. So it can become not tiresome but exhausting, if that makes much more sense. Because it's so heavy hitting, punches F. Like yeah, Marfa. Yeah, it's like that. Your neck's gonna hurt because you can't stop head banging. And Led Zeppelin music has everything. It's way more varied. So we got Dryer Maker, which is kind of reggae, but not reggae. Then you got freaking The Song Remains the Same, a faster track. So Kashmir. Then goddamn No Quarter. So you're like.
Side effects, you have the Rain Song.
The Rain Song. But also you got goddamn rock and roll. So, what a great freaking Matt Lemon song! I god damn it! Let's have it's so good, man, so good. Yeah, because every time I mention one of the tracks, I'm like, ah, damn it, yeah, so good, man, so freaking good. Let me see. Even Bonzo's son, Jason Boham, tried to be another Led Zeppelin with his band. Yeah. But actually, have you seen him with Joe Bonamassa?
I haven't actually.
He has
a project.
It's a band.
Okay.
It's an actual band.
Yeah.
Is Bonzo Jr. on the drums, Joe Bonamassa on guitar, obviously. Glenn Hughes on bass and singing. For those of you who know, Glenn Hughes is a great bass player and singer who was part of Deep Purple, and his solo career is fantastic. He has been a very proficient and prolific bass player. And in freaking Chaos is Derek Sherinian. God damn! So he's like, and I think
sounds cool.
It's very good. The name is Black County Communion. Even the name is badass. So yeah, I totally recommend you to listen to those guys because they sound like that. It's badass music. It's just badass because Joe Bonamassa, he's a rock and roller at heart. Even though his style of music is his solo career is more on the blues, but heavy sounding blues. Because actually, Led Zeppelin is considered to be a heavy blues band.
Yeah.
So it makes sense having Joe Bonamassa, and actually I do recommend it because it sounds way better than the first attempt that Mini Bonzo did at music. No, for real, because he's not a bad drummer. He has to be good. Yeah. Trying to replicate the Led Zeppelin factor is impossible, man. But Black Country Communion, it's good. I totally recommend you. It's a very good band. They have 3 albums, if I recall correctly. and fantastic. And when it comes to another band that sounds similar to them, it's the Crowbot. I totally recommend you to listen to those guys, particularly on the drum side of things. Now we will have to go a little bit sooner. This conversation we will have to stop sooner than usual because we had another conversation we had to take that is going to take place in a few minutes, and we cannot skip it. But let's open tracks. Which ones would you say are the most overrated and the best and most underrated?
Let me see. The thing is, Starway to Heaven, I wanted to frame it as an overrated track.
Me too, but I can't. I can't.
It's such a good song that I cannot.
I understand the joke from Wayne's World. We don't play Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
Why? Because everybody. Yeah, I get it.
No, but it's such a good song.
And the thing is that I never listen to music in shuffle. But the rare occasions on which I do, for example, at the gym, if that song kicks in, I always skip it. No, wait. Why? Because it's a song that even though I have listened to that, deserves my full attention. And at the gym, you don't do that, right?
Okay, it's heresy.
It would be heresy listening to it, not paying the correct amount of attention. And even though it's an overplayed track, it is not. It's like freaking Bohemian Rhapsody, man. Like, I'm sick and tired of it being everywhere, but man, it's good. It's Bohemian Rhapsody, right? Okay, so it's not overrated. It's a good one, but underrated.
Underrated, I already mentioned a few minutes ago. I think the Rain song, I think is a song that...
Agreed.
Because I think we talk about how incredibly popular and everybody plays it, everybody loves...
Raymond?
No, the Starway to Heaven.
Yeah.
The thing is But honestly, I personally think that the Rain song is as good, if not better. I know there's a big claim, and I know that it is, but I still stand by it. And nobody cares about it.
Wait, was it?
The Rain song?
Oh, the Rain song. Yeah, it is. Nobody, no, yeah.
And it's such a good song.
I have had such a hard time finding someone who has actually listened to the Rain song.
Yeah.
And coming from a so-called Led Zeppelin fan, have you listened to the Rain song? What? It's House of Holy, right? It's House of Holy. Yeah. Which one's your favorite album? Physical Graffiti. Okay. Have you heard House of Holy? Oh, it's such a good album. Rain song? No, I don't know what album. Damn! But I can see why, man. It's a slow-paced, long as F. It's like 10 minutes long. Not so
emotional.
Emotional / it's a lyrical. I think that they were listening to jazz. They're like, damn. Get me? Because it has a little bit of jazz. Another great band.
Look, me personally, even though I think Led Zeppelin is great when they're doing the more proggy kind of thing, and I think Rain Song is a good example of that.
It is.
It's not necessarily a prog song, but it has quite a lot of it in it.
It has the what's the name? The opus.
Yeah. But what I love about Led Zeppelin, what I personally like best about Led Zeppelin, is the more rock and roll, high energy, super high octane kind of music.
On that note, just saying, overrated rock and roll, underrated Hangman.
Agreed.
Do you?
Agreed.
Okay. No, I totally agree on the underrated. Overrated. I see why both of you would pick rock and roll, and I won't contest that. Okay. Because it's tiresome. The thing is that every time that somebody begins playing
everywhere,
the thing is that you can stop it.
No.
Yeah. Because even people who doesn't like rock music, like, yeah, it's fun. It's a fun track. I know that it's overplayed. It's tiresome to listen to every freaking time you go to a bar, but if that's still a thing. But I think Black Dog is a much more overrated track with no reason for it to be that successful.
It's a good song.
No, rock and roll is a good song. Just analyze it, compare one and the other. Because Black Dog, that's it, and again, 3 times you're over. Yeah, rock and roll has a bad guitar solo.
It has a drum solo, actually.
Yeah.
It's one of the only hits that I can think of that actually has a drum solo.
And it's an integral part. People are waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
It's better. It's clearly better, and still Black Dog is probably more popular than it.
I think so.
It's one of the. It's the first song that everybody who tells you to listen to Led Zeppelin sends you to listen to.
No, look, I think it's a cool track, but it's not by any form of any means of imagination one of their best.
I found it to be quite underwhelming.
I think that's been a little bit harsh, No, the thing, if you're looking at Led Zeppelin standards,
That's
yeah,
the thing, man. That's
it's
the
not
thing.
It's not that
That's
great.
the thing, because I got introduced to them through Stairway to Heaven, like 99% of the population that was born after 1977. But then I listened to Black Dog. What? We were here, and I was like, the dumbest version of you.
Here, not
No. Here, if Stairway to Heaven is here, rock and roll is here. Okay,
Like that.
all the way here. Because
Not even showing on camera.
exactly. I think the thing is that you got really you really got extremely excellent songs, way more complex, way more emotional, way cooler, way funny, entertaining, way more flashier than Black Dog. And Black Dog is short, kinda. Well, is there? Maybe it's because it's one of the oldest song they ever released that became big. Maybe has a much more cultural impact than I can understand because I wasn't there. There are many things that probably because of me joining the fray later on, I don't get.
Yeah, because maybe it was one of the songs that made Led Zeppelin
It is.
into the public eye.
It's one of those legendary tracks. The things that I don't see why, for real. Maybe it's because I got spoiled and I got into the way better stuff that was released in later years of their career. So that could be my hot position today. Girls and boys, sorry for having to go shorter today, but we truly have a meeting in a few minutes now, which you'll be able to see next week on the channel, because actually it's going to be interesting. We're going to be discussing music technology with the CEO of a company. So we will have to record this. We're about to meet him in a few minutes, so we gotta get the whole setup running. So thank you for joining, girls and boys. Sorry once again for having to do this a little bit shorter than usual, but at least thank you, Josh, for joining us. Hopefully you're still around. And if you haven't, well, no problem. We already kicked you out. Well, I already give you reasons not to stick around for longer. So thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. And if you like support this kind of content, the best way to do it is by listening to our music on Apple Music or Spotify. Also by following us on social media such as Instagram and X. And of course, as usual, the best way for you don't let anybody tell what to dream about, girls and boys. And remember, they will see you. We'll see you.